Okay, here's the struggle right now. I'm still trying to move the workshop, but it keeps snowing pretty much every day. So I have another load of workshop stuff. This is a small load. That's all I had time to grab, but it's something. And I need to get this all into, I suppose, the barn. The barn has the most open storage right now. So I guess I need to get to that because I have a couple of, I suppose, moisture sensitive things in here. Let's get to it. There's no longer any stuff in the trailer, and there's no longer any stuff in the bed of the truck. However, I pretty much just dumped it all into the barn. It's even more of a mess now than it was before. So I need to do some cleaning. And maybe I can put some of this stuff up on the second floor up there. We have lots of room. And I need more room down here to be able to finish up on the tractor. That is ultimately the goal for today. Okay, so far so good. Now I have at least created some room, a little bit of space to store some of the long-term stuff that I'm not going to immediately use, but that I want to kind of keep around. That lumber, I think, is going to end up going into my wood shed, which is where I took the smaller scraps of lumber. Those were just easier to carry. Those I would really like to have a second set of hands. This ladder is not, it does not inspire a lot of confidence. So now I'm going to grab some totes and basically just carry them up here one at a time. I would say that looks pretty good for a storage space. Basically all I've done is cleaned up the floor area on this half of the second story of the barn. If I need it, I have another floor back here that I could clean up and organize. And then if we use that, I could go up to the third floor to store things. I'd have to add another little ladder or something. But those are all my options. I think right now I can put all of the totes of things that I'm not going to immediately use up here. And that should work out just fine. That'll clear up a lot of space down on the first floor, and I think I can get all the work done on the tractor then. I have a lot of the detritus from the first floor up here, and that clears up a lot of room downstairs so that I can start organizing everything else. I think I'm going to start in that corner. Right, down in this corner, we have a weird bin of tomato planters. We have the shelves that go into this shelving unit. We have sticks. There might have been a wood stove out here at one point, but it's certainly not here anymore. So that can go near my wood stove in the basement. I have 3 more totes that I don't want to carry up that ladder by myself, so they're going to have to stay down on the first floor. And then I have some tires, some shelves, and I think this was the pig feeding trough at one point. It's just either the top or the bottom of an oil can cut off. So, yeah, I need to clear this out, and I think I'm going to put the shelving units in this corner so they're out of the way, and so I can actually store some things. So let's get to it. Well, that's pretty all right. I have some makeshift tire racks that aren't really big enough for these tires, but whatever, we'll sort that out later. This is a good temporary solution, and it clears up this wall so I can put my kind of heavier duty cabinets here on the concrete and get more of the stuff off the floor. Having stuff on the floor is probably my worst bad habit, and I'm really, really trying to break that habit here in the new shop and in the new barn. So it's just something that I have to make a conscious effort for and keep working at. a little bit of work later, and I've got some cabinets in place. Now I have a little bit of storage, but the real goal here was to clean up the barn, and it's still a mess. In order to get this last cabinet back into this corner, I'm going to have to move the tractor. But in order to move the tractor, I need to get all this other junk into some sort of a home, some semblance of organization. So it might all end up in one of these stalls, or I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to think it through, but no time like the present. Let's just get it done. Sometimes you just have to make time to pet the barn cats. I have this final cabinet in place. It was a real pain to get it there. This thing is like Jack Olson cabinet weight. But it's there now, even if I probably shouldn't have been moving it by myself. So I'm going to call this corner done, and that leads me to the next project, which is getting the tractor started. Okay, I didn't get quite as much done yesterday as I was hoping to. I wanted to start up the tractor, but then it started snowing again, and I don't know, here we are. It's now the weekend, which affords me a lot more time and much better light to work with. So let me get these barn doors open, and then hopefully we can get this tractor running. You can't not pet the cats. Alright, it's time to try starting this. So I'm just going to give it all the juice I can. I'm not putting the battery in it yet. You really don't want to stand in between the wheels when you try to start one of these. But other than rewiring the whole thing, I don't have to do it. I need to see it with this one. So I'm going to short the starter, have the battery charger running on it, and I'm going to give it a little bit of go. Battery. It's not happy. It's not happy. While that battery's going, I may as well toss this exhaust on that came with it. Seems like a good idea. Seems simple enough. Not quite right. The issue that I'm running into is these two guys, they don't quite align as they should. So I think I'm gonna have to kind of just squash them together, so to speak. But yeah, that glove that's right. All right, that seems reasonable enough. I am going to need a wrench at some point in this process, but I have to hold up the exhaust. Will it stay? Will you stay, please? Let me go get the jack. All right, got my stupid American engineering tools out. Oh, this is fun. So in case you haven't done this before, essentially all I'm doing is grounding the outside so that the very center is making direct contact. And what we should see is, in between the gap there, a very small spark. Nothing. Well, I did a little bit of the researching, and I had already made an order in advance, thinking that at some point I'd need a new coil. And this is what the coils look like, totally unlike any automotive coil I've seen before. Here's the old one, and you can see this little, I don't know, pigtail springy thingy that needs to make a connection with something in there is pretty badly bent. So I don't think that was in the right position. And then this little spring clip was, it was just crushed in. So I have the new one. That looks much straighter across the board. We're going to try that out and not really do any diagnostics and see if it fixes it. Contact. Hey kids, we have spark. Let's put it back together. All right, let's fire it up. See if we can get it to actually run. Alright, I've verified the firing order, cleaned up the combustion chambers, and I think this is as good as it's going to get as far as getting it to fire. Let's give it a go. Neutral, ignition, a little bit of choke, cross goes. That's the starter stuff. Shit. So what that means is the Bendix, or whatever the ratcheting mechanism is stuck in there. That's a pain. That's a real pain. I guess I have to pull the starter motor a bit. So if I pull the starter motor toward the front of the tractor a little, I think I should be able to just shove the Bendix or ratcheting mechanism back into place.